Man, Warriors fans, what a roller coaster it's been so far this season. I mean, we're only a handful of games in, and it already feels like we've seen the best and worst versions of this team in just a week. Last night, though, that was the kind of game that makes you want to pull your hair out. The type of loss that doesn't just sting, it makes you question what's really going on with this team. Because losing to Milwaukee? Fine. But losing to Milwaukee without Giannis even stepping on the court? Come on. That's the kind of night that just shouldn't happen if this team really believes it's built to compete for another title. You could feel the frustration building as the game went on. The Warriors had their moments, sure. There were flashes of rhythm, good ball movement, stretches of energy where it felt like they might finally pull away. But then they'd let it slip again. What's worse is that the player who torched them wasn't even one of the Bucks stars. It was Ryan Rollins, a kid who used to wear a Warriors jersey not that long ago, dropping 32 points like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. 13 for 21 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3. Against his former team, you can almost feel the basketball gods laughing at that one. And the thing is, Rollins wasn't even supposed to be the story. He's a solid young guard, but he was filling in for Giannis, and somehow the Warriors made him look like an all-star. You look at his career numbers, and you can't help but shake your head. He averaged barely 2 points when he was with Golden State, bounced around a bit, and now suddenly he's out here cooking the very team that let him go. That's the kind of loss that doesn't just show cracks in the armor. It rips the whole thing open. Now, let's be real. There were a few bright spots. Kuminga had himself a night. 24 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, super efficient shooting. You can't ask much more from him. And the guy's been proving people wrong all year. Every time you think he's hit his ceiling, he just keeps adding more to his game. The nickname Kuminga the Crow might actually stick because the guy is making everyone eat theirs. He's not going anywhere. If anything, he's becoming untouchable. But outside of Kuminga, the front court looked overmatched again. The lack of size was obvious. Bobby Portis and Miles Turner had a field day inside, bullying their way to rebounds and second-chance points like it was nothing. The Warriors tried mixing up rotations, giving Quentin Post, Al Horford, and Trace Jackson-Davis some run, but none of that really solved the issue. This has been the same story for a while now. Golden State simply doesn't have that big, physical presence down low. When they're up against teams with length and strength in the paint, they struggle to contain them. And look, the league's changing, sure, but size still matters when it comes to playoff basketball. The Warriors can't keep playing small and hoping the 3-ball bails them out. They used to work when everyone was healthy and firing on all cylinders, but right now, that margin for error is smaller than ever. Which is why, it might be time to seriously look at bringing in another big man. James Wiseman's name is starting to come back up again, and honestly, that's wild to even think about. The idea of Wiseman returning to Golden State after everything that went down feels like a full-circle moment waiting to happen. It didn't work out the first time. Injuries, expectations, fit issues, but the need is still there. The team that drafted him 3rd overall back in 2020 might finally need exactly what he brings: size, rebounding, rim protection. The question is whether he's grown enough as a player to really fill that role now. There's also talk about Nikola Vucevic, a guy the Warriors have been linked to before, and that makes a lot of sense. He's putting up solid numbers again, around 18 points and 10 rebounds a night. And while his 3-point shooting hasn't been amazing, he can stretch the floor just enough to keep defenses honest. He's also a good passer for a big, which fits the Warriors' motion offense perfectly. The tricky part is whether Chicago's willing to move him, especially with the Bulls starting strong. They're sitting near the top of the standings early, and when a team's winning, it's tough to convince them to shake things up. But make no mistake, if Golden State could pull that off, it would solve a lot of their problems. Trading guys like Buddy Hield and Moses Moody might not be popular, but it could make sense. Both are solid role players, but they're becoming more and more expendable. Hield, for instance, is basically just a shooter right now. That's his thing. But when you already have Stephen Curry doing that at a Hall of Fame level and Seth Curry waiting to rejoin the rotation next month, do you really need another one-dimensional 3-point specialist? Not really. And Moody, as good as he is, might get caught in the numbers game with the rise of younger guys like Will Richard and Brandon Podziemski. Speaking of Will Richard, let's take a second to appreciate how fast this kid is climbing. I'll admit, I wasn't totally sold on him when the Warriors picked him late in the second round, but man, he's proving me wrong. You can see the work ethic, the drive, the confidence. He's not just happy to be here. He's coming for minutes. The way he's pushing guys ahead of him in the rotation is impressive, and you can feel that internal competition heating up within the roster. What stands out about Richard is his path. He wasn't one of those blue-chip, can't-miss prospects. He worked his way up from a smaller school, transferred to Florida, made a name for himself, and helped them win big games before landing in Golden State. That kind of journey builds toughness, and it's showing. He's playing like someone who's been told no 1,000 times and is determined to make every no look stupid. The Warriors love that kind of energy, and he's quickly becoming one of those glue guys that championship teams always seem to have. Then there's Podziemski. His option just got picked up, which honestly was a no-brainer. He's got swagger, sometimes too much, talking about wanting to be the next face of the franchise after Curry, Draymond, and Clay move on. But I like that confidence. He just needs to back it up with consistency. He's not there yet, but you can see flashes of what he might become. He's a tough rebounder for his size, he hustles on defense, and he's starting to see the floor better. But if he's going to make the leap, those assist numbers have to rise. He can't just be a scrappy guard grabbing rebounds. He needs to start orchestrating the offense, showing that playmaking ability that made the Warriors take a chance on him in the first place. The problem for the Warriors right now isn't effort. It's discipline and execution. They keep dropping games to teams without their main stars. That can't happen if you're serious about winning another ring. Losing to the Blazers when they didn't have a star on the floor, then losing to the Bucks without Giannis, it's just not acceptable. Now, they've got Indiana next, and even though the Pacers are without Tyrese Haliburton, that can't be an excuse. If the Warriors don't dominate that matchup, it's a red flag, because this is a healthy roster right now. No excuses, no injury bug to blame. They need to go into Indiana and send a message. That's the thing about this team. It's built to compete, but they've got to start showing it consistently. If they take care of business, they'll bounce back to a strong record and get back on track. But the longer they let these trap games slip away, the harder it becomes to believe in their championship potential. And the schedule doesn't get any easier. Coming up, they've got back-to-backs against the Spurs. And let's be honest, San Antonio is no joke this year. Wembanyama looks like the real deal, 7'4" with guard skills, dominating on both ends. The Spurs are undefeated so far, and they're playing fearless basketball. The Warriors have to take that seriously. It's not just the Rockets or the Thunder they need to worry about anymore. The Spurs might actually be the team to watch in the West. So yeah, this early stretch has been rough, but it's also revealing. It's showing where the holes are, where the adjustments need to happen, and which players are stepping up versus who's getting left behind. The good news? It's still early. There's time to fix it. But the effort and the urgency need to show up now, before these small cracks turn into something bigger. Because as much as we love talking about the dynasty years, the league's not waiting around for the Warriors to figure it out. Everyone's coming for them, even the teams without their stars. And last night's loss was a harsh reminder that if this group wants to hang another banner, they can't afford to play down to anyone's level ever again. The next stretch of games is going to tell us a lot about who the Warriors really are this season. Right now, there's still that lingering hope, that belief that this team can turn it around at any moment. You can sense it from the fans, from the coaching staff, even from the players themselves. But the clock is ticking, and the margin for error keeps shrinking. The Western Conference is stacked this year, and falling into bad habits early can cost you home court advantage later on. What makes it frustrating is that the Warriors aren't losing because of talent. They're losing because of inconsistency. You watch them for 5 minutes, and they look like the Warriors of old. The ball zips around, players are cutting, screens are crisp, and shots are falling. But then, just as quickly, the rhythm disappears. Turnovers pile up, defensive rotations break down, and suddenly they're giving up double-digit runs to teams missing their best players. It's not about age or fatigue, it's about focus. The intensity isn't there from tip-off to final buzzer, and that's something championship teams can't afford to lack. Draymond Green said it best last season. We used to be the hunters. Now we're the hunted. That's still true. Every team that faces Golden State wants to prove something. They want to show they can take down the dynasty. The problem is that the Warriors sometimes act like they've already proven everything they need to. You can't play like that in this league anymore. The game has evolved, the competition has caught up, and the only way to stay relevant is to keep adapting. That's why the young guys are so crucial. Players like Kuminga, Richard, and Podziemski are the energy injection this roster desperately needs. You can see it when they're on the floor. The pace picks up, there's more movement, more fire. They're hungry in a way that some of the veterans just can't be anymore. That's not a knock on the older guys. It's just the natural cycle of team. But Steve Kerr has to find that balance, that perfect rotation where experience meets energy. Because if he keeps leaning too heavily on the vets, the Warriors will struggle to keep up with the younger, faster teams in the West. Steph Curry, as always, is doing his part. Even in the losses, he's been attacking more, driving into the paint, finishing through contact. You can tell he's adjusting to how defenses are playing him now. Teams are running him off the three-point line, forcing him to work for every bucket. But even so, he's finding ways to stay efficient. What's missing is the support. There have been too many games where Steph puts up 30-plus points and still doesn't get enough help from the rest of the roster. Klay Thompson needs to find his rhythm again. There are nights where he looks like vintage Klay, hitting threes in bunches, and then others where he disappears for quarters at a time. And Andrew Wiggins, who is supposed to be the steady two-way presence, hasn't quite looked like himself either. This team needs more than just flashes. They need consistency. They need that identity back, the unselfish, defensive-minded, fast-paced style that made them nearly unbeatable at their peak. The problem is that right now, they're getting caught in between two eras. The veterans are trying to maintain that old standard, while the younger guys are trying to carve out their place in the future. It's like watching two timelines collide on the court, and sometimes it just doesn't sync up. That's why a trade feels inevitable. Whether it's bringing in a big man like Vucevic or exploring another name that becomes available, the front office knows this roster still needs one more piece. You can't rely on undersized rotations to carry you through a Western Conference full of elite frontcourts. The Warriors have always been about skill and spacing, but right now, they need a little bit of brute force. Someone who can protect the rim, grab boards, and do the dirty work so Draymond doesn't have to shoulder that responsibility every night. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. There's a growing buzz around the Bay Area that something special is brewing in Golden State. While the spotlight often shines on Stephen Curry's timeless brilliance or Draymond Green's defensive orchestration, whispers from the Warriors training camp suggest that MIKAL Bridges might be quietly becoming the secret weapon this team has long been searching for. Bridges, long recognized as one of the NBA's premier 3&D specialists, appears to have taken that label and stretched it to its limits. Sources close to the team describe an off-season transformation, stronger, sharper, and more confident than ever. His shooting stroke, already smooth and reliable, now looks nearly mechanical in its precision. But it's his defense that's reportedly causing waves inside the organization. He's locking up everything, one team insider allegedly said. It's like he's got a force field around the arc. Opponents in scrimmages have struggled to get clean looks when Bridges is lurking, his wingspan and anticipation cutting off passing lanes and suffocating drives. It's not just the on-ball pressure, it's the communication, the rotations, the sheer consistency that's setting a new standard. Golden State's front office, still haunted by last season's defensive lapses, may have found their missing link. With Bridges anchoring the perimeter, the Warriors' defensive identity could return to the ferocity of their championship years. The idea of Bridges sharing the floor with Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond has analysts murmuring about a potential renaissance, a new chapter of small ball dominance. Of course, the whispers come with a dose of intrigue. Some around the league wonder if Bridges' growing influence might signal a subtle shift in hierarchy within the Warriors' locker room. He's not just a role player anymore. He's a tone setter, a two-way force with star-level impact. For now, it's all rumor, An early season hum carried on the hardwood breeze of Chase Center. But if even half of what's being said is true, the NBA might soon need to update the definition of a 3&D player. MIKAL Bridges isn't just guarding the arc. He's owning it. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.